We're going to be in the book of Genesis, chapter 12 this morning, as we saw from our scripture reading. Who here has moved from one place to another at some place in their life? I'm talking living space. Move from one place to another. All right. I know that my experience is not that earth-shattering. I moved 3 times in my life. First time was when I was 6. Wasn't too traumatic. We moved from my family moved from where we were living in a trailer across the city to a house. Same city, we just moved 2 different living quarters. And I think my greatest worry was how I was going to be able to fit everyone that I wanted to invite to my birthday party in my room, because that's where I wanted my birthday party. Because I had this awesome new room. I wanted everyone to see it. It goes without saying, it wasn't too traumatic. Second time I moved, a little bit scarier, but it was when I graduated from high school, and I moved from Auburn to where I went to school in Chicago, 12 hours away, not knowing anyone I was moving to, but that wasn't that bad because I was kind of excited. I just graduated from high school, going out, seeing the world, I guess. Moving from my podunk little city of Auburn to the big city of Chicago. But it was still a little bit scary because, like I said, I didn't know anyone there. I had been to Chicago once to check out Moody Bible Institute, the school. But other than that, I had no idea about Chicago. And so that was a little bit scarier, but still not too bad. And then the third time that I moved was when I graduated from college, and I went back home to Auburn, and then I moved from Auburn to here, Philadelphia. And I was a little bit more scared because I had no idea what going on here, no idea what to expect. But I knew that God wanted me here. And that's why it wasn't very scary, because I knew this is where God wanted me to be. And so when we're talking about people moving, now imagine that you're living in one of the greatest cities you could live in this point in time, and you have it made. You're married, and you have a good business, and you're with your family, and just everything that you know, and you're in this basically a Philadelphia type city, lots of trade, pretty prosperous, and then all of a sudden, this God that you never heard of, never grew up worshiping, suddenly spoke to you. And I don't know if this was audibly or in a dream, or God somehow appeared to him, but it says that in Genesis chapter 12, now the Lord had said to Abram, and Abram, if we read in other places of the Bible, we gather that Abram was living in this, you see this city called Haran. And Haran at this point in time was a very prosperous trade city. So Abram had it made. He was living with his family, and it was all good. All of a sudden, this God came out of nowhere, Yahweh, and said, listen, I know you don't know who I am. I know you didn't grow up worshiping me. This is what I want you to do. I want you to move away from everything you know and go to a place that I'm not even going to tell you where you're going until you get there. Now, I don't know about you, but that would be a very, very hard thing for me to do. To just move and take what I have with me and go to a place that I don't even know where I'm going to. And yet, what is Abraham's move? What is his decision? Verse 4, after God tells him what he wants him to do, so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken to him. That's it. God tells him what to do, and he does it. And he does it. And so we're going to be talking about, that required real faith. We're going to be talking about real faith today. Faith these days, right, it's got a very fluid meaning. You ask any random person on the street, what is faith? I'll say, well, it's something that you think or something that you believe in. I'm not even sure. I know that there's something out there, but I have faith that there's something out there, but I'm not really sure what it is. Well, then that's not faith, because if you don't know what it is, that's not faith. You're not believing in anything. You're just thinking that there's something out there, but you don't know what that is. That's not faith. So we're going to look at what faith is not, and what faith is by looking at this man named Abraham here and his experiences and what he went through. We see that when we first meet Abraham, he's a human, right? Not just when we first meet him. Abraham is a human, right? And this is one of the most simple things we have to deduce here. Abraham is a human. Abraham is not perfect. Abraham, sometimes when we picture these old men, these guys walking around in giant robes and long flowing beards, and they sort of walk around saying, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and I know exactly what I'm doing, and I know how everything's going to fold out because I have such great faith, and I'm just this great person of faith." But we don't think about that. Abraham was a person just like us. He had his fears. He had his hopes, he had his dreams. And when you're living in a place you're comfortable, and then God tells you to go and make a completely different change, this wasn't just about Abraham moving to a different place. This wasn't just about that. Because like I said, remember, Abraham didn't grow up believing in God. We'll see that later on, why I say that. Abraham wasn't raised to believe in Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, the Bible. And so like I said, this wasn't just a move from one place to another. This was a complete worldview shift. It's going from what you thought before and completely transforming, completely changing to something new. That requires faith. And we see, like I said, Abraham was human. So he had some flaws. He's had some things that just like any one of us, that he was doing wrong, so to say. What faith is not? Faith is not, first of all, looking at the now. We see that Abraham looked a lot at what was going on currently in his situation. God had told Abraham, listen, I'm going to make you, we see here, right in the beginning of chapter 12. This is the first time he says this, and he goes on to say this about 5 more times. That God says to Abraham, I'm going to give you a child. Not just I'm going to give you a child, but I'm going to make you into a great nation. And some of us are pretty familiar with the story of Abraham, some of us are not. First of all, where we picked up with Abraham, God told him to move, so he moves. And there's several other things that happen in Abraham's experience. But the one great promise that God makes to Abraham, because we read here, and what we read in the scripture reading, is that Abraham was how old at this point when God told him to leave? 75. He was an old man at this point. He was 18, he had the whole world to explore. He was 75 years old. His wife was right up there with him. And God is saying, I want you to move from everything that you know, everything you're comfortable with, to something that you don't even know where you're going. Until I tell you, you're there. And Abraham was 75 years old. Now take that age, and now imagine God saying to him, I'm going to give you a child. Your wife is going to conceive, and you're going to have a son. And that son is going to have children. And those children are going to have children. And you're going to have a whole nation.